Good morning, everyone. Vahen here. And if you've not been to my channel before, welcome. And today I want to come to you from my living room with my cup of tea in my hands to share what's on my heart for me to share with you today. And I'm thinking a lot about what needs to change in order for things to change. There's a lot of things that you see around that are changing, but you're like, man, something's got to change in order for there to be change. So, what things need to change in order for there to be change? What does it look like for you and I to be the change? I think simply, and it's simple, we just be the change that we wish to see in others. I know that sounds so simple, but yet it's so hard. What do you want to see changed? Well, I'm going to tell you a few things that I would like to see changed, and that is I want to see hope restored. I want to see I want to see a decrease in the mental health crisis. I want to see a rapid increase in hope, a rapid increase in positive mental health. I want to see joy spread faster than the rate of COVID. I I want to see unity and peace restored. And not only in our government and churches, that might seem like a high list, but I want to see peace and joy restored in our communities and in families, between brother and sister, and race and genders, and the list goes on, right? But Vian, what can what can you do to change all that? What can one person do? What can one person really do to change all that? This titanic size proportion that's this giant of like bigger than life. What can one person really do? Especially things that are generationally grounded, right? And rooted in hate and lies, and it's just so much. How in the world can one person even think about changing that? It's a good question. And as I've had to pivot in this pandemic, like everyone else, to see how can you continue to try to be the change? How can you continue to try to encourage and inspire other people in a season to not give up, not lose hope? When you know what, I myself have even struggled with those very things, struggled with being overwhelmed, compassion fatigue, and struggled against being discouraged for all the things that you see that you just can't change, all the giants that we as society we're all facing every day. you know in the midst of all this, two things, there's a lot of things that became very clear, but a couple things I want to tell you today that just became clear to me is that, man, prayer is a key ingredient in my life. A I actually did a video on that. I'll put a link to the description about a dream I had about prayer being the key ingredient. And if you don't have it, you're going to fall flat. And it's basically about that. So I'll put that in the link in the description. But is that key? That prayer is the key ingredient that will help me rise above life's challenges. Man, I don't know. It's hard. And if I didn't have God to run to say, listen, like this, this is too much. Like I can't. And then anyway, so, and then the second thing is endurance. Oh boy, how important endurance is. This is that is another thing that God has impressed on my heart. He's like, Vian, don't let anything affect your endurance of joy and peace. Don't let anything affect your endurance. And so, if you know that there are things heavy on you, then you need to like let some things go. And so, I've had to work hard for my joy and to fight for it and to choose joy, choose peace. And I've had to work hard for it, but I've been successful. But I'm telling you, it ain't easy. And I've been feeling the pressure of that increased demand for frontline support, if you will, right? And with that increased demand came an increased demand for more endurance and more time spent in prayer and self-care in order to keep going. And there's only so much time in the day, right? And so let me backtrack. So back as I approached 2022, I was praying through some things about what it looked like for me in this next season. What does it look like in this next year from our organization for me? And I was praying through with one of my prayer team, and I was wondering what this next season would look like for me and my organization. And you know what? I got this vision of like a table being wiped clean. What would this next season look like? And as I saw that, um, at first it was like this image of a table being wiped clean with the thought that nothing's nailed down. That's what I felt God speaking to my spirit. I'm like, what do you mean, God, nothing's nailed down? Like, Van, like, I mean, that's a, what do you mean nothing's nailed down? Because I do a lot of things. I didn't understand what he meant because, I do a lot. But when he said nothing's nailed down, I was like, well, what am I supposed to give up? How am I how am I supposed to move forward if I think that nothing's nailed down? What do I let go of? What does that look like? So long story short, I've just made some adjustments in my work schedule, the timing of my blogs. I don't put as much pressure on myself to do things as I used to do them. Um, because I've prioritized some more time of connecting with people in person. I've spent less time like focusing on crafting content to share on social media, but more time with in person connecting every day, but more so, um, more importantly, more time for me and self care. And, that has been a game changer for me. Um, yes, the needs and the demand for connection continues to grow. And so I've been learning to say no to some things so I could say yes to some things, saying yes to myself and lavishing grace on myself in this season. I've said this so many times in this season, and maybe you'll understand, especially if, like, I think that no matter who you are, I think you've been affected by COVID, whether you realize it or not. And I've often said that this season is like that of, like, if you've ever seen the Titanic, when it was going down, like nothing was done the same way, right? They're all the only focus was saving lives and making sure that everyone was safe or got to safety. And so nothing was done the same. And that's what I think in my life right now. Nothing's done the same. You know, I'm not going to, I'm sitting in my front room sharing you this message when normally I probably would have spent hours doing my hair and makeup to present it to you in the studio, which I don't think that's important as actually the message, but more importantly, it's being the message, allowing myself grace, allowing myself to be refreshed, letting go of the things that are weighing you down. Hebrews says to strip off every weight that so easily besets you, um, and to run the race with it so you can run the race with endurance. And so, what does it look like? What are you saying no to in this season in order to say yes to yourself and your endurance? May I suggest that you not let anything affect your endurance, whatever that looks like. Maybe, I don't know, like, I'm just sharing from my experience. And especially if you're a small church leader or somebody that maybe does most everything yourself, like, you need to learn to, like, let some things go. And maybe things will look differently, but that's okay. Because just as God said to me, don't let anything affect your endurance of love, joy, and peace. It's because this is what I felt him say. He said, Vian, if in a year or two we're still in this pandemic, it really doesn't matter if you're like doing an in studio, crafting a nice, pretty thing, 12 Days of Christmas, or whatever it is, or you're singing off key in your living room, or you're sitting in your living room just sharing from your heart. The message that people will need to see is joy. They will need to see peace, because that is the message that will never lose its effect and is more powerful than anything that you can continue doing just because you think you need to be doing it. And so I want to share with you something that one of my prayer team actually also gave me, and it's what I'll leave you with, and hope that it will encourage you um, to just keep going. And it's interesting that that word endurance keeps coming back again, and it's something that I want to leave you with. It's um, pace yourself. This is the message that I got from my prayer team, and it's so important. And it's a message that God keeps reminding me of, to keep going in this season so that you can be the change that you want to see. You model it. And what better way to be change is to model joy and model peace. But how can you model it if you find that you're losing it, right? And more than once and so often. So this is the message that I'm going to leave with you, and I want you to insert your name in it. And so my prayer partner, she said, "VN, put your name in there. Pace yourself. The work you're about will not happen by sprinting. You need to measure your gait so you can run and not grow weary. Stamina and endurance are key aspects you are developing so you can not only run the race well, but finish strong. He who is faithful will complete the work in you, that and he will begin that he will finish what he has begun. So trust in his timing. And so trust in God that right now the only thing that matters is that you keep your joy, you maintain your peace. And if there are things that you're doing that's causing more stress or frustration, you need to learn to let it go. So what are you going to say yes to in this season? What are you going to say no to in this season? So that we can see some change. And how? Let's be the change. Okay? Let's be the change. And don't let anything affect your endurance of love, joy, and peace. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.